In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai with a new session for you, dear friends. Today we use something else, so we use a magnifier. If we want to open the magnifier, it's very, we can bring it up easily. In the Windows Ease of Access section, here we have the magnifier, and by clicking on it, it opens. If you want, we can bring it to the Start menu or we can search for it. For example, here in one part, if we type magnifier will show up. Magnifier also has a shortcut with the Windows key. By pressing them together, or plus, what happens for us? It appears Windows key plus. As we said, in this function, it brings it up wherever the pointer is. If we wanted to read something for us, to pronounce some sentences for us, it can do these things too, but the main function, the things we mentioned, are actually related to narrator. But this one also does that job. So, what is the main function of this one? Its main function, as its name suggests, is magnifier. It's a magnifying glass that should magnify the area we want. So, when we bring it up with Windows key plus, what can we do? For example, if we want, when we press Windows key plus again, it should zoom in. Windows key plus zooms in. And Windows key minus zooms out. Plus and minus are important. Plus and minus keys also work. On laptops, as I mentioned before, with some brands it only worked on the numeric keypad, but that's not the case anymore. Exactly, with these brands, plus and minus keys make a difference in this matter, and we're addressing that here. In this matter, the Alt-Control-M keys are the shortcut for these modes. Whenever we right-click, it switches these modes for us. This mode is called Lens mode. When I press Alt-Control-M again, it calls this mode docked. Here, for example, it shows the minimized mode again at the top, like a glass pane, for quick access. And if we press Alt-Control-M again, it switches the mode to full screen. Every time we press Alt-Control-M, it switches between these modes. Regarding full screen, when you zoom in, it only follows the mouse pointer. Wherever you move the mouse and pointer, it shows you that area in the full screen zoom size. Another mode we have is Lens mode, which we use when we zoom in. It doesn't zoom the whole screen, only the part where your mouse pointer is. That specific area gets zoomed in. It's just like a magnifying glass, like a lens. Only what passes under the lens gets zoomed as you move it, unlike the other modes you can select. Now, like the rearview mirror of a car, you can adjust it. You can choose to have it at the bottom of the screen, on the left side, on the right side, or at the top, wherever you want. You can also adjust its size. You can choose what size you want it to be. All of this can be done. I select the negative mode. Wherever the mouse pointer goes, that area gets zoomed in. This is shown to you at the top section. But its standard mode, by default, is a bit more zoomed in, which we call full screen mode. By enabling it, whenever you want, you can use its full screen mode. It's just that whenever you zoom in with Windows key plus, usually the whole screen gets zoomed in. We have the mouse pointer, and wherever it goes, it shows that area to us. Well, the good thing is that we can use Windows key plus and minus, and we can also use it from here. For zooming in and out, you can always use the magnifier when you go into it. Basically, this is all within the settings we have called Ease of Access, for now. We just covered a small part of it. Called Magnifier, we only covered this part, and you can access it from here. If you want to turn it on or off, you can do it from here in the settings. Earlier, we mentioned what its shortcut was, the Windows key plus. If we want to turn it off with a shortcut, we can press the Windows key together with Escape. Windows key. Escape turns it off. Windows key plus, let me show you. I'll make it clear for you. In the Zoom panel, you also have its shortcuts right here. The shortcuts I mentioned to you earlier are also listed here. Windows key plus turns on magnifier. Windows key and Escape. What does that do to magnifier? It turns it off. Now, when we come to this page, in which mode should it open? Usually, it's better for it to be in lens mode. After that, we can set how much our screen should zoom in or zoom out. But sometimes, it's already set by default, for example, to 300%. Whenever we close this, for example, I close it and press the Windows key with Shift, it closes. But when we want to bring it back, generally it opens at 300%. For people who are new and don't know what happened, where the screen went, or what changed, it's better not to set it to 300 or 200. Usually, it's better if the default is set to 100. Here, we can also choose your default, so that whenever we click, for example, what the default zoom should be, like 5%. That means whenever we just click zoom once, with Control and Windows key, how many percent should it increase? 5%, 10%, 50%, you can set it here. You can pick different sizes here. The default is set to 100. That means every time we click, it should zoom in by 100 and zoom out by 100 as well. So this is its default. Meaning, whenever you are on the page, it will be set to the default level. But here we specify that whenever we press the plus or minus keys on the keyboard, or when we press the plus or minus here, how many degrees it should zoom in and how many degrees it should zoom out. After we have these settings here, there's another option here, meaning whenever we enter Magnifier, when we sign in, whenever we're on the lock screen and then sign in, Magnifier will be activated directly. So basically, we don't want this to be enabled every time. Whenever we log in and enter the password, Magnifier shouldn't necessarily turn on. You shouldn't trust the file. If you turn this on, it will ask for your trust. If we're in a line, we have to go forward, no matter which user it is. Whoever logs into this account, Magnifier will automatically be enabled. We're going to turn this off now. There's something else. We have the Smooth Edges Off option. Images and text. When Smooth Images is enabled, the content looks better. If you pay attention to the texts, this smoothing effect gets applied to them. It gets fixed. The smoothing effect disappears. It takes on a more proper appearance. I'm working with the icons. It works. If it's off, we can see the icons more clearly. You should also consider the borders of the icons or texts overall in the inner color. So, what happens when you select it? We show the colors for the icon. Wherever on the page there's a color, we always show the opposite of that color. You can do that for yourself. If it allows, you can do this with the keyboard shortcut we use together. The shortcut is Alt-Control-I. Alt-Control-I does the invert color function. This action inverts the colors. What was black becomes white, and what was white becomes black. So basically, any photo you see or anything that's on the computer will take on this inverted color mode. All the colors will be completely reversed. But before that, let me tell you about the modes. Earlier, we mentioned that we had scene in mode. We can choose the modes to be full screen mode, docked mode, or lens mode. If we specifically just want to use one of those, the shortcut for full screen is Alt plus Control plus F. Alt plus Control plus L is for lens, and Alt plus Control plus D is for dock. But what does Alt plus Control plus M do, as we mentioned before? It cycles through them. So, for example, if we press it specifically, Alt plus Control plus L only takes you to lens mode, Alt plus Control. For example, this action takes it to full screen, and then with Control, it goes. But if we want to switch between them, Alt plus Control is the one you can press multiple times. For example, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. It cycles through all 3 modes when you press it. Actually, as we said, its default is full screen. Here, for example, it says that if we press Alt, what does it do? It says it cycles through these modes. So, for instance, if we wanted to zoom in once, this way, without zooming out of the page, we want to see the page in full screen for a moment, but we don't want to zoom out. So, we press Alt and Control together with space. It instantly zooms out the page, and then we can zoom in again. This isn't permanent, it's just for a few seconds. For example, if I press this, after a few seconds, it automatically zooms out again. So sometimes when you lose something, you don't need to zoom out again, just press Alt and Tool space once. Here, when you see the time, go to Settings. Sometimes this thing doesn't work. When we zoom in, the mouse doesn't follow. There's a button for that here. So, the mouse pointer. It's really important whether this is on or off. Why? Because when it's on, when we zoom in, sometimes we lose track of the scene. But our pointer never gets lost. Our pointer is always inside. It always needs to be on the screen. If it's off, the mouse pointer won't follow. Sometimes the mouse just disappears. Where did it go? Then you have to share the mouse or do extra work. Also, when we're zooming the screen with you, sometimes the screen gets lost, and that's called keyboard focus. Keyboard focus means that when we tap, we just click. We don't press the mouse button. For example, this is keyboard focus. Up and down. Wherever you go, it follows your selection. Wherever it goes, and they say to follow the cursor, it shows us where we currently are. If we turn it off, wherever the keyboard focus goes, it won't follow it anymore. It will only show the part that's on our screen, and it won't show where the cursor is elsewhere. It's better to turn this on so that both the mouse pointer is followed wherever it goes, and the keyboard focus is tracked wherever it moves. Also, if you select any text, that's important too, it should be tracked. For example, in one of the programs, you want to write something. And we've zoomed in on this. Now look, this is the keyboard cursor. Now, as you move the mouse pointer around, it follows it. At the same time as I'm typing, the keyboard cursor is being tracked. Wherever it is, basically it tries to follow it, but if it's off, well, naturally it won't do this anymore. Let's go back to its settings. So whenever we select this, it will follow the text cursor. This one, as I told you, is about where to keep the mouse pointer, centered on screen or within the edges of the screen. Set the mouse pointer. Where should it keep us from the moment we move? The mouse pointer, if I select this, center on screen, then wherever, the mouse pointer will always be centered. We try to keep the mouse in the center. Wherever it goes, we can see its movement, for example, when it reaches the corners of the screen. Now, if I select here, it doesn't have to be centered, but it also shouldn't go out of the screen's corners, meaning it always keeps the pointer within the screen's edges, but it doesn't disappear from us. Now, if we select an option, for example, in some cases we have something like this, what should the keyboard cursor do? Should it keep it centered on the screen, or should it keep it at the edge of the screen? For example, if you have a program and you want to type something. I said the cursor stays still when I'm typing. You can see that wherever you look, you see it there. It always keeps to the corner of the screen. It's not like, for example, it gets centered. But if I zoom in on this idea, then let's move on. If we select the stationary option, it becomes centered. Now, if you press enter, it keeps it centered. When you type, you'll see that our cursor is in the center. It's not in the corner of the screen. No matter what I type, this itself wants to change. The keyboard cursor is always positioned in the middle of the screen. Wherever we type, it's centered in the middle. So, I'd say, for example, its default is better for both the cursor and the keyboard. Whatever it may be, we select both of them like this. It's at the edge of the screen. Meaning, in the end, it should be shown to us within this page layout. The shortcut isn't always Alt plus Control. It's from the Alt plus Control shortcuts. It's always an option. As I always say, it's not always the case, so here we set it in advance. It tells you that these are modifier keys. Those shortcuts that usually need to be pressed together are called modifier keys. What should it be? Should it be caps lock, the insert key, caps lock plus insert, or Control and Alt? For now, we've selected Control and Alt. That's why any shortcut related to this will work with Alt and Control. For example, if you select Insert here, then every shortcut will work with Insert. For instance, all these shortcuts are listed here. For example, for Stop or Start Play/Resume, these use the modifier keys plus Enter. Modifier keys mean Alt and Control plus Enter. If you choose Insert again, then what happens? It becomes Insert plus Enter. Or for example, if you use Caps Lock, then the shortcut is Caps Lock plus Enter to perform the action. Alright, Here you also saw this magnifier section, and there's another section here as well in the tabs, in the private tab that we mentioned. Its function was that, meaning the magnifier, its job is just to zoom in on the screen like a magnifying glass, so we can see things up close. The reader reads things for you completely, as we know very well. There are different tasks for activating posts. So for example, if we select this, we click it, for instance, it reads that for us. For example, PowerPoint, that's its function. So I just hold Alt and Control, then I click again, but you might not need to use Share, just click this, and then wherever you want. For example, what's the name of this? Task View. It tells you the names of many things, reads them out, and does a lot of other tasks. This tool that reads things, you can tell it to read a whole sentence for you, not just a word or a letter. You can even tell it to read out a full paragraph for you here. Then, after that, you just use the shortcut, called Control-Enter. You can tell it next sentence to start from the next sentence. First, at the first level, when you say previous sentence, it starts from the beginning of the previous sentence. Every time you say next, it finishes the current sentence and then starts from the next one. For example, if you want, you can work from here. Play, next sentence, previous sentence, stop. You can do this using keyboard shortcuts. Alt-Control-Enter. It reads Alt-Control-K for the next sentence. Every time I click, it goes to the next sentence. Alt-Control-H for previous. It goes back to the previous sentences for you. For example, consider the individual who is performing this action. You have the capability to precisely specify and define who that particular person is. Furthermore, you can conveniently select the comprehensive all-speed option specifically for them, which allows for dynamic and adaptable reading. Regarding the reading pace, at what specific speed should the text be read aloud? Should it be a rapid, fast pace, a balanced, normal pace, or perhaps a more deliberate, slow pace? You possess the ability to meticulously set this preferred reading speed, or up to this current point in the process. It is essential that you carefully adjust these various settings accordingly to ensure optimal performance and user experience. Additionally, you are also provided with the flexibility to choose and customize its visual appearance, allowing for a personalized and aesthetically pleasing presentation. Normal is good for when it reads the body fold. With which voice should it read? For example, it has 3 voices here. We can select this voice. We can also say none. For example, if you desire the voice to be a female voice, you have the complete flexibility to meticulously set and customize any specific sound or audio element that you wish to incorporate into your musical arrangement or composition. This allows for a highly personalized and detailed auditory experience. The default sound is David's voice. So from here, we can choose the voice, select its speed, which we've worked with more. And you saw there, for example, that the sentence was going word by word, and what was it reading for you? It was reading the words. That's what it calls finishes in narrator. Should it follow along as it reads each word, or should it just stay in place? So when we're on this page, for example, if we tell it to read for us, and we've zoomed in on this, sometimes, when I say play, you should notice that it was focusing, so when we want it to stop, it does. We just press a single key. It doesn't matter which key it is. I mean, its shortcut to turn it on is Alt plus Control plus Enter. We saw that when it reads each sentence or each word, it was following along. That's because we had enabled the narrator cursor. Otherwise, it won't highlight or follow it. If videos have been helpful, to support us and help the channel grow, like videos and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next sessions, and goodbye.